We're joined now by our Senior Counsel for Global Affairs, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And Secretary Pompeo, I want to start off with that because this is, again, classic election year politics, headline, student loan debt forgiveness, but how this actually impacts Americans. The number, the $10,000 number of forgiveness, but also who ends up paying for it. You tweeted out, it ends up, it's American workers, a lot of people who didn't even go to college, never took these loans out, wouldn't get these loans for their small business venture, wouldn't get this loan. And we were talking about if an 18-year-old walked up to a car dealership, I want a $150,000 car, you're not getting that loan. But these were the agreements that were made, and now people are going to be stuck with them who didn't even take these loans out.
Jordan, this is insane. This is pure politics. This is your point. This is about buying election votes for the Elizabeth Warren AOC wing of their party. They think they'll go run on this and they'll have more power. And so in the end, this becomes about power. Your point's well taken. Everybody who took that student loan did so voluntarily. They knew exactly what they were going to have. They knew what their payment requirements were going to be. And in America, that's what we do, right? If you make a commitment, you live up to it. Now the Biden administration is saying, nope, you're a child, you're an infant, you're not smart enough to make your own decisions and to repay the loans that you decided to take out. They treat them like they somehow somebody foisted this loan, forced them to take it. And then I think about, Jordan, the machine shop that I ran in Wichita, Kansas. I ran it for a bunch of years before I lost my mind and ran for Congress. Those folks were working hard. Why should they be paying for some graduate student who's studying gender theory at an elite school and say, nope, if you decided you didn't want to work, you're making less than $125,000 a year, we're going to give you $10,000. It is fundamentally indecent. It is wrong, and I regret that the Biden administration thought this was in the best interest of America.
Yeah, I mean, I think it even gets complicated with the payment idea because then they also put these freezes on payments through December, and they're supposed to restart in January. But if you look, will they actually restart? I mean, the whole idea that even the incentive to stay up to speed is not really there, and it's not reality. You're not preparing anybody for the real world through this. And again, a lot of this is you're talking about they may have been young when they took the loan out. They're not young now today. I mean, so I just think the numbers are interesting, and it does. I want everybody to be cautious though because election year politics, like we said, it's the headline-making issues. And this takes me to the next issue, the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, we know about your situation with the Iranians putting out bounties. At the same time, they're saying they're negotiating on nuclear weapons. It seems just absurd, but it's another political election year. Can we check the box and add something else to the list?
This deal that the United States is about to sign with the Ayatollah and the President Raisi in Iran will put American lives at risk. We will end up with an Iranian nuclear weapon. Other nations inside of the Middle East and the Arab states will feel compelled to have nuclear weapons as well. We will start a nuclear arms race in that region, and it'll put our friend and ally, our partner Israel, in terrible peril, and it'll create enormous risk here. They didn't ask the Iranians to stop any of their terror activities all across the world. There is no reason to think that if you give them $750 billion or $1 trillion over a few years, that they won't increase that terror effort, whether that's attacking U.S. former government officials here in the United States or conducting terror on our friends in Israel. This only leads to a nuclear-armed Middle East and more terror in the world.
Yeah, you've got a new piece up at ACLJ.org about it. The Biden administration must cease negotiations with the Iranian regime, but it does seem that Secretary Pompeo, from all the reports, that they're right on the edge. That this any day or hour they're going to announce that they've rejoined this deal. That's the sense that everybody's getting right now. So the pressure of what we can do about it, but also so that people understand they're walking back into this.
Look, the ACLJ was an important player back in 2014, 2015, convincing this administration that they had to negotiate tougher. Frankly, the deal negotiated in 2015 is going to be tougher than the one that they're going to sign here in a few days, it appears. So this is shorter, weaker, and softer, not longer, stronger, and harder. So it's an even worse deal. I hope everybody who's listening today will contact their political elected leaders and make the case for why this isn't in America's best interest. It's not in our security interest. It's not in our own economic best interest. And if you care about the relationship of the United States and Israel and our Judeo-Christian tradition here in the United States in the way that the ACLJ has fought for so long, we'll do everything we can to try and convince this administration not to go back into this crappy deal.
Yeah, and also our allies, too, in the Middle East not just Israel, but some of our allies who haven't gone the nuclear route, who I think, again, this is that Iran has exported their terror to their countries as well. And they've got rockets coming in. It doesn't always get as much attention as rockets from Gaza, but it's a similar kind of approach. And they've got the resources financially. They haven't really put the pressure on the U.S. say we have to have these weapons, and we've kind of put our own troops there. So, but I would imagine there'd be tremendous pressure on future administrations too, from those countries to say we've got to protect ourselves. It may be a little unstable, and you might not agree with all of our politics, but if we're going to work together, we got to have these weapons too. And then you've got another massive arms race in a pretty volatile region of the world.
Jordan, you have this exactly right. The Emiratis, the Saudis, the Omanis, the Kuwaitis, the list of Arab states that will say, I have to protect myself from Iran is long, and they will be demanding a capability to enrich uranium or process plutonium as well. And then second, I would tell this, the Iranian leadership needs to know this deal is going to last exactly 27 months. This deal will be over as soon as the next president of the United States is in office, and the sanctions regime is coming back full throttle. And we will put enormous pressure on the regime to try our best to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. The American people will demand it. It will be the right thing to do, and I'm convinced that the next president will actually deliver that. We will break back out of this deal, and we will begin to deny Iran the money they use to terrorize the world today.
All right, folks, I want you to check out the new piece up by a former Secretary of State, our Senior Counsel for Global Affairs, Mike Pompeo. It's on ACLJ.org. You'll see it right on the homepage. The Biden administration must cease negotiations with the Iranian regime. Secretary Pompeo, as always, great to have your insight on both those issues.